Hello everyone, and welcome once again to the Heir's Lair. I am your host, aspiring author Jonathan Taylor. As I've mentioned in my social media, links in the description below, I am currently doing a read-through of the Witcher books by Andrzej Sapkowski. And in this video, as well as several others both before and after it, I'll be giving you my reviews and impressions of each of the books. I'll try to keep these reviews as spoiler-free as possible, just in case someone who hasn't read the books stumbles upon these videos. The topic of today's video will be Baptism of Fire, the third full-length novel of the anthology. The plot picks up about a few weeks after the end of Time of Content and is mostly split across or over three storylines. The first and most expansive one is Geralt going on a quest to find and rescue Ciri from whatever fate has befallen her, even though the injuries he sustained at the attack at the Mage Conference from Time of Contempt still bother him. The second of these storylines focuses on the sorceresses that survived that same attack, as well as some new figures, putting together a society, institute, association, coven, whatever you want to call it, aimed at depoliticizing the way magic is used within this world. And the third of these storylines focuses on Ciri and the adventures she gets on along with her gang. And of the three, I have to say Ciri's plot is the one that carries the least narrative weight. All of the actions and descriptions in place there are very simple, very matter of fact, and don't really tell us a lot about what being a person in that part of the world is like. We get to know how various gangs interact with each other, as well as the efforts authorities put towards stopping the menace that gangs pose. But overall, the events that happen there don't really carry over to the rest of the story that much, and I'm kind of disappointed because that's really a missed opportunity that of this book. Sapkowski could have very easily introduced the POV character who is neither a gang member nor an authority figure to describe how this particular conflict plays out. Something that would give more personality and dimension to this part of the world, at least. But we don't really see that, or if we see that, it's more in connection to the second plot than the third one. Speaking of the second plot, it focuses on the I'll say larger scale conflict, or the higher dimensions of the conflict that emerged at the end of Time of Content, or sometime after the middle of Time of Content. It looks at what it would actually mean to depoliticize the way magic is used in the world, what kind of goals would need to be achieved before you can achieve that final goal, and how these goals can be attained given the current state of affairs. Of the three storylines, I'll say this one is the one that utilizes Sapkowski's strengths as a writer the best, because it very effectively displays how the sorceresses, interact with the information that is provided to them, both from outside the lodge and from within it. And yeah, I'm going to call it a lodge from now on, as well as their relationships, both towards people outside of their lodge and to the people within the lodge. Their friendships, their enmities, that kind of thing. But they're not the main focus of the book. The main focus of the book instead is on Geralt's plot, or as I could very easily refer to it, the War is Bad plot. In his quest, he is joined by his troubadour friend Dandelion, Milva, an archer with an unusual interest in him, Regis, a medic who has some surprises up his sleeves, as well as some third individual who, or rather not third, another individual, who is also, who also happens to be in some way mystically connected to Siri. And they all travel through war-torn parts of the world. And when I mean war-torn, I mean full-on rape, pillage, and burn. As in our questing party comes across villages that have been torn down to the ground and burned. There are tons of corpses everywhere, and all of the corpses have been disfigured, burned, or both. There are hobbled masses of people trying to live to see the next day. Time of Contempt just hinted at the kind of atrocities war could bring. Baptism of Fire really goes head-on towards displaying them and showing what makes war in general so atrocious, so horrible, and also in displaying the mad rush that people get when trying to either avoid or indulge in these atrocities. Even though there are characters who indulge in these atrocities, the book itself doesn't. It treats the subject with the gravity it deserves. I'm not going to say it treats it neutrally, because that's kind of impossible given this heavy topic, but it does treat it in a very mature, very reasonable manner. And the best part about that is that it does so by doing what Sapkowski generally does best, namely in displaying how the characters react to it, and what their interactions, not just the interactions between the questing party, but also with other parties and other people they happen to find on their way, and what these interactions tell us about the situation and how dire it is. It is all really brought to the forefront very well, and in a very, like I said, in a very refined, very mature manner. And that makes this book a whole lot better than it could have been. I'll say that much. Overall, I have to say this this book is presents a very ambitious story aimed at taking the pieces of a broken world and putting them back together. And in doing so, it takes the core of the world and exposes and displays it in a way that is very narratively satisfying. However, the ambitions of the story are a bit too grand for the way the story is structured, and therefore a lot of the moving parts work in opposition to each other rather than in synergy. And for that reason, while it is a very interesting read and a very enthralling read at many points, Baptism of Fire only gets a 4 out of 5. For those keeping score, this is the 5th Witcher story so far, or Witcher book so far, and none of them have received a 5 out of 5 yet. But I am keeping my hopes up that the next one, and the thickest yet, The Tower of the Swallow, will eventually deliver. But that's for another time. For now, I would like to thank you very much for your attention. If you have anything you'd like to add, the comment section awaits your input. If you enjoyed this video, then go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to see when the next video comes up, then I suggest you go ahead and subscribe. Maybe also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube asks of you so you get notified. Until next time, I am Jonathan Taylor, and this has been the Heir's Lair.